I, if I'm representing the governing body and wanting to grow the game, boy, there's a vacuum there because the quality of play on the American side is every bit as good as ours. In fact, I'd say they had the edge in a number of areas in terms of team play as well. But they've got some individual players that are right up there with the best players we've got. Uh, who's the defenseman? Two other brothers play in the NHL, Tim?
Hughes.
Yeah. He was, he's a bigger, stronger player than his
Yeah.
two brothers.
Yeah.
And he's similarly gifted. So when you've got, like, that's the driving force here. Everybody gets locked into the NHL, and everybody's going to make the NHL and try to make it. So it causes a lot of distraction in the game for parents and families. But it sounds like you've got the same distractions there where the crazies drive the game, and they may aspire to get to that level, but I'm wondering if maybe they aspire more to get a scholarship than they would to make the NHL at that level. Any comments?
Well, I know more and more, at least from what I hear, with having coach prep school and talking to the players in the recruiting process and their parents, and the word investment keeps coming up. And I'm okay if I'm investing, if I look at it in terms of I'm investing in my child to make him a better person, make him more well-rounded, he or she a better athlete, perhaps a better musician, whatever it may be. But thinking that when I put in X amount of dollars to my son or daughter's hockey career, which is also interesting because I don't know too many 12-year-olds that have a hockey career, but apparently they do. Looking for a return on that investment is just the thing that is just mind-boggling to me, and literally being disappointed if their child ends up not being a Division I player and getting that scholarship.
Wow. Hal, your thoughts? And Minnesota's sort of the hockey hotbed and regarded as that in Canada. And is there a disconnect with minor hockey in the USA in terms of the growth of the game?
I think there's in Minnesota, everything's about going and playing in the state high school hockey tournament. That's everybody's goal. And as a result of that, the higher end players all gravitate to a few teams. Even though recruiting's not legal, there's a way around all of that. And there's an awful lot of the way the structure of the high school system is set up. The best teams don't end up at the tournament. The best team from each of 8 sections ends up there, but some of them have no business being there. They're not competitive. The junior hockey thing, I think this year a record number of high school kids left high school to go play junior hockey in the USHL or the North American Hockey League or any of there's like 4 more levels down below all of that. And so we are dealing with what we call we have a thing called safe sport in the United States. And it came out of the gymnastic scandal with the doctor that was abusing all these Olympic gymnasts. And so they have all these things to prevent abuse and bullying and all the other stuff. And my own team had, when I was out of town on business, a couple of the kids on the team who were bullies decided to have a locker boxing competition. And they bullied, a couple of the younger kids into doing it, and they didn't want to. They tried to get the 2 girls to do it, and they fled the locker room. But they got these 2 younger ones to do it. One of them just thrashed the other kid. and they videotaped it and they posted it on the internet, commentary. Okay, so that's it's a safe sport violation, and the program doesn't want to report it because they're afraid they're going to get sued by the parents of the guilty players. This is a B team, for God's sakes. I mean, none of these kids are even going to play on the high school team, but that's what we deal with here. And the number of safe sport violations, I guess, is just exploding. The other thing is that for me, these kids use the F word every other word. They're effing this and effing that, and they criticize everybody. They criticize each other. They criticize the opponents, the referees, I'm sure the coach. And I'm thinking, where did these kids come from? And their parents kind of, well, you can tell the kids that are the bullies, their parents are bullies too. The apple doesn't fall very far from the tree. But they just let these kids keep right on going. I don't know. But Minnesota is really focused on the high school game. And there's very little talk about World Juniors or even junior hockey, other than we've got a few teams around. But also, it's high school and then on to college. So we've got a local kid who's a pretty good player. And his dad wants to know why he can't just go to college and play D1 hockey. Why does he have to go fool around in this junior stuff? And I said, well, because he isn't good enough yet. He's too young. So I just think things are different. And it's so expensive down here. I don't know what it costs up there to play hockey, but it is really expensive down here. Peter knows that. It's probably more expensive in your part of the country. I mean, we're cheap here. But I think I sent a couple of you an email about Rosso, Minnesota, and Warroad. Rosso is a community of 2,800 people. They have 3 indoor ice arenas, and they're open 24 hours a day. Doors are never locked, and if there's not anything scheduled, you can go in and just go skate. And they've got a couple players up there that we're going to try to bring up to Canada. I haven't seen kids this age that good, that have that many skills. Now they're not, they still are young, and they got a ways to go. They're probably not at the world junior level, but holy smokes, a couple of those kids. And they've just spent thousands and thousands of hours, late night or whenever on those rinks, just playing and honing their skills. Obviously some good genetics too, but still, I don't know. Tim, what do you think?
Oh, I've just got a bunch of different thoughts running through my mind. Yeah, Minnesota's, different because of the community-based hockey. There was a video that was posted on social media. Actually, I think Kevin, I can't think of his last name, he's with USA Hockey, posted it on his Twitter feed of a youth hockey game. And evidently there was a call had been made, but the video picked it up after. So the video was from a dad videoing the game with his cell phone from the stands. And you hear him yelling, yeah, that was a good call. That was a good call. And then evidently there was back and forth between that dad and the dad from the other team using the F word back and forth in the stands. I mean, it was, and, unfortunately that's the hockey culture. But I think when my grandson plays and his 8-year-old sister comes to the game and watches the game, I don't want her to sit there and have to hear that. But it isn't just hockey. You hear it at Little League games too. So anyway, so that was going through my mind because that was a recent video that I had seen. But you know what? That's still the exception. There'll be if there's 15 kids on the team and a visiting team and all the parents are there, that's 30 parents, and there's one guy who's making a bad scene. The other 29 are not. So, and yeah, and I jumped on the call just a little late, Wally. You guys were talking about the World Juniors. So, and I wanted to follow up on Peter's comment. So the NHL Network broadcast the World Juniors games live, but I couldn't find like any of them on demand, like on ESPN Plus. When I looked on ESPN Plus, there was a couple of the World Juniors games, but not all of them. So I'm not sure what the rule was there. So if you missed a game, if you didn't record it on your DVR, then you would have to hope to catch a replay of it on NHL Network. But I did watch the games yesterday, and actually the quarterfinals as well. So we are able to watch. We're able to watch the World Juniors here in the States.
You know, one of the things I think is interesting, because you have to pay to be on the NHL Network, is the kids don't watch hockey.
Yeah, yeah. So for me, the NHL Network's a part of my cable TV package. So but yes,